Hello everyone, welcome to Katie Cooked What. Today I'm going to show you guys how to make the Montana's Antojitos appetizer at home. I have said that so many times and messed it up every single time. Montana's Antojitos appetizer. Let's go. So if you don't know, Montana's is a chain restaurant in Canada, at least. I'm honestly not sure if it's in the States or not, but they have these Antojitos as an appetizer and they're so good. I always loved ordering them every single time I went to Montana's, and I just realized, you know what, this is not that complicated. I could definitely make these at home. So I gave it a go, and I think these taste exactly like the Montana's Antojitos. They're so good. Honestly, they're really easy to make. They're relatively inexpensive. You can make them in a large quantity too, so if you have a ton of people coming over, it's great for that. And really, they're just a good crowd pleaser appetizer. They're really good. So I'm gonna show you how to make them. So what you're going to need is a red pepper, a green pepper, jalapeno pepper. You're gonna want some tortilla wraps as well, some plain cream cheese. You can use flavored if you want to, but plain is what Montana's uses, so that's usually what I use. Some olive oil, some grated marbled cheese, and then for spices, I have onion powder, garlic powder, and some crushed red pepper flakes, and then I'm also gonna use some salt and pepper. So let's get started. All right, so after I've washed the produce, I'm just going to put a little bit of olive oil into a frying pan and get this going over medium to low heat. I'm gonna do it at 3.5 and let that heat up while I cut up the peppers. So I'm starting with the green pepper, but it doesn't really matter. You're gonna do the same thing to all three of the peppers. So yeah, it doesn't matter what you start with, but I'm just gonna slice those long like that and dice them up relatively small. It doesn't have to be perfect or anything, but just try and keep them relatively tiny, somewhere around that size. And then as soon as you're done dicing up any of the peppers, you can go ahead and add them to the frying pan with the olive oil. So I am cutting up full peppers for all of these because I'm gonna make a larger quantity of the Antojitos. If you don't want as many, obviously just cut up less peppers, just cut up a half or something like that, whatever works for you. Or alternatively, if you don't have any other use for peppers, but you don't wanna make multiple Antojitos and you just wanna make one wrap worth or something like that, this is honestly a really simple pepper mixture. You can throw this in stir fries, you can throw this in with eggs or the next day, even with potatoes or something like that. It's really just cut up peppers. You can even put it over nachos. Honestly, the possibilities are pretty endless. So yeah, if you want to just cut up all the peppers and cook them in one go, there's a lot of different things you can use these for. And last but not least, moving on to the jalapeno. I'm gonna go ahead and leave a few of the seeds in there, but not all of them. I want it to be a little spicy, but nothing too crazy. If you want more spice, you can always just add another jalapeno, leave more seeds in, whatever you're feeling. Very versatile recipe in terms of quantities. And again, I'm doing the same thing with the jalapeno that I did with the other peppers, so just cutting them into long, relatively thin strips and then dicing them up. Hopefully you can hear me over the sizzling peppers, but I'm just adding in my jalapeno now. Going to give that a little stir to make sure everything's mixed well. And now I'm gonna go ahead and add my spices. I'm just gonna do a bit of garlic powder. You can use fresh garlic if you want, but honestly, I find powder works just fine, and I just like skipping the step of cutting up fresh garlic. Then I'm gonna add in some onion powder. I don't think that Montana's does any of the spices like this, but I think it just adds a lot more to it. It's good without the spices too, so if you don't have any, you can always omit it, but I do really like adding in just some extra flavor. I'm gonna add in some crushed red pepper flakes. Not too much. Like I said, I don't want it crazy spicy, but I do want a little bit of a kick to it. And again, just stirring that to mix everything around evenly. The cooking time for this is pretty flexible, honestly. It depends on how cooked you want your peppers to be. You don't even need to cook them, but I find it's just a more uniform texture for the Antojito if you do cook the vegetables just a little bit. But I would say in terms of cooking time, 10 minutes is all you really need. You just want to soften the peppers up a little bit so it's not super crunchy when you bite into them. So while the peppers are cooking, I'm just gonna go ahead and move along. Like I said, the cooking time is pretty flexible. So usually I just cook them for however long it takes me to get everything else ready. I would say around 10 minutes, like I said, but you can always just check on them. You can poke one with a fork or just taste one and see if it's soft enough for you. In the meantime, while the peppers are cooking, I'm gonna go ahead and grate some cheese. The cheese amount is also gonna be dependent on however many Antojitos you're gonna make, but I would say I'm gonna probably make around 3 tortilla wraps worth of Antojitos, and I would say about a cup of cheese for that. So if you're doing full peppers, full jalapeno, everything, I would do about a cup of cheese. And now you can go ahead and move on to assembling your Antojitos. Make sure you're keeping an eye on your peppers just so that they're not burning. I went ahead and took mine off of the heat now because they were done. So all you're gonna wanna do to assemble these is take your plain cream cheese and your tortilla wrap and spread it all over. I typically only spread within like a certain line of the wrap. You don't need to cover the whole wrap. It's just a lot of cream cheese. You're gonna roll them up afterwards, so it doesn't need to be super thick or anything like that. So yeah, I typically just do it in one line like that. Doesn't have to be super neat. You're gonna take your filling, put on however much you want. And finally, you're just gonna take your grated cheese and add that on top. Like I said, this is up to you, however much you want to put on, but I would say about that much. Just a thin covering over everything so that it'll get nice and melted, but it's not going to be so thick that all you taste is melted cheese. And then you're just going to go ahead and wrap it up and set it to the side for now and finish making however many Antojitos you're going to make, and then we'll come back to this. Okay, so I ended up making 4 Antojitos. I definitely could have pushed it to 5 with the pepper filling that I had, but honestly, I'm going out of town tomorrow and I just don't really want the leftovers, so I'm just gonna overstuff one of them and leave it at that. But I would definitely say you could stretch it to 5. And now all I'm doing is going through all of them and cutting almost all the way through, but not quite. This is just gonna make it a lot easier to pull them apart once you've baked them. Just make it less messy. So yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and cut them most of the way, but not fully. And then I'm gonna go ahead and put them in the oven. So the oven is preheating right now to 350, and I'm gonna bake them for around 5 to 7 minutes, really just until the cheese is melted. You could bake them a little bit longer if you wanted them to be crunchy, but I've always had them soft. I don't know if that's how Montana's makes them, so since I'm recreating that recipe, that's just how I make them. Alright, so they're out of the oven and they're looking so good. All I did was finish cutting through the rest of the way with the knife, obviously, and then I just went ahead and put this little dish in the middle of the plate and stacked them all around. They look so good. I'm so excited to eat them. Montana's does typically serve this with sour cream with pesto on top. I don't have sour cream or pesto right now, so I just went ahead with ranch in the middle, but you can do whatever you want. I'm sure there's lots of different dipping sauces that would be good with these, but I would definitely say either ranch or the sour cream with pesto. But yeah, this is what they're looking like. They're ready to be dined on, and I also think this is a nice presentation, especially if you're having like people over or something like that. I think it looks relatively good. And that is how you make Montana's Antojitos recipe at home. Alright guys, that is it for this video. I hope that you enjoyed it. Let me know if you make these at home. They're a definite crowd pleaser. Every time I make these, they get eaten up so fast, so hopefully you guys will enjoy them too. If there's any other restaurant recipes that you want me to try recreating, definitely comment them down below. I would be very happy to give that a go. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know if you guys ever try this recipe out at home. Don't forget to subscribe if you're not already, and if you want to. Check me out across other social media platforms. They're always linked in the description. I'm just at Katie Cooked What across all social media that I have. And yeah, I think that's it. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!